Beyond the edge of darkness, there is a world of sword and sorcery.
I am Dungeon Master, your guide in the realm of
Dungeons and Dragons.
You must chill.
I am a super magus Fire!
Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Dungeon Crate podcast. My name is Wayne, and I am the founder of Dungeon Crate and your host today. I'm excited to bring you another episode. We're going to try and get these out a little bit more consistently, but right now I am excited to announce my next guest, Mark Morrison from Campaign Coins. Yes, and he's calling in all the way from Australia, and he talks about not only the coins, how the business got started, how we're using them in our crate, how you can use them in the game. It's a great interview. Let's get right into it right here on the Dungeon Crate podcast. All right, and here we are. This is my interview with Mark Morrison, who I believe, and I want to say that it was two years ago. Was it 2 years ago or a year ago that we met at Gen Con? The first time.
It was last year.
Was it
first time? Who knows? Maybe we met in a dungeon somewhere, you know? Maybe I was holding a torch and you were picking a lock.
You might have been wearing a helmet. I couldn't tell your features. But yes, last year I definitely came back to Gen Con, one of my favorite events. And it was the event that inspired Dungeon Crate for me. And not only that, the coin vendors that were there inspired me to do this. And I was so fascinated by the amount of fantasy coins that were there 3 years ago. And also in Campaign Coins, I met you guys and had a whole spread out there. It was just, I think I tried to pick one of everything. It was amazing. Mark, welcome to the show.
I feel particularly welcome in the counting house here. That's great.
Yeah. So what I want to kind of get the initial story before we've had, we've had a couple of our vendors on here, and I'm always fascinated by the story that how a small business got started, and especially one in our industry, because it just seems like there's a way more availability to do it now. What got you started into coins and making them and bringing them to America?
Yeah, long ago. My background is playing games, of course, but professionally I like writing for Chaosium, for Call of Cthulhu, since the 80s. And so in the early 90s, I got to go to Gen Con with Chaosium. And a local gaming friend of mine, Andre Bishop, turned up at random at Gen Con. And he was in a hotel room with 6 people. And I said, dude, I have room. Come to mine. So he got to meet the Chaosium people. And there was a Fugazi punk rock show that night. We had the best Gen Con. That was in Wisconsin, 1991. Old Gen Cons had half as many people, but a lot more cheese. So that was kind of Andre's and I, really cementing our bonds as not just local gamers, but lifelong friends, but also our love of Gen Con. So Andre got back to Gen Con, hanging out with Charlie Crank from Chaosium whenever he could. And he thought, what I need to do is start a game company so that I can always go to Gen Con, because Andre's a smart fella.
Right?
So he had that in the back of his mind. He registered the name of our company, which the formal company is called King of the Castle. So he registered that in 2005 and started to think about a product. And around that time, another great friend of ours called Hugh came back from backpacking in South America, and he bought all of his South American coins, his change, and just dumped them on the table in D&D, for paying the bartender, like room for the night. And yeah. Andre went, this is so cool, playing with money instead of, writing it down on pencil, but I want fantasy money. So he went to the internet to order fantasy money, and nobody was making any like proper metal coins. And Andre, being a brilliant entrepreneur and just being Andre, said, then I shall. So that was when Campaign Coins came out. We were the first metal coins on the market back in 2007. I think they first debuted at Gen Con, and so it's been going for more than 10 years. So I just came in the middle of this. Yeah. But it's Andre's absolute brainwave.
Oh, that is amazing. And that is, I'm glad that story came out too, because that's how I felt when I started having coins. It's like, why can't we use this in game? Wouldn't this be great to give your players the actual coinage and or gems if you wanted to exchange them, but they had to hold on to. They would make them so much more valuable. I did a blog on this too. So like a lot of times in game, you write it down on paper and it just gets kind of forgotten about. You just keep collecting it. But and for real, you'd have a lot, or you would just not, you have to spend it. Now, to me, if they had a handful of your coins, they're going to be less likely to try and spend it on everything. They're going to want to kind of keep them, but at least they'll hold on to them. They'll have to bring them to every game session. And it just adds a really awesome element. And the token wise too, just carrying them around.
It also, it's the tactile feel, that feeling of in your hand. I always call it's like shaking hands with your character, because if you've got a really nicely designed fantasy coin, it's in the palm of your hand, it's also in the palm of your character's hand. So it's almost this moment at which, your imagination, is totally connected one-to-one with you as the player. And it's really nice. It's great for immersiveness and gives you tons of plot ideas. I think players have a great incentive to make sure, oh my God, do we have enough money to stay in the fancy inn? I really want to buy a war pick. This is the orc rogue in our Shadow of the Demon Lord campaign. It costs 5 silvers. Oh my God. How can I get that? There you go. Yeah, that's the sound. And great for adventures too. Like you need 1,000 to bail the ranger out, or she's executed at dawn.
Yeah, you guys all have to chip in.
And suddenly everybody's counting coins. It's really fun.
Well, how would you suggest integrating coins into a game? I think that might be something that that players would want to know. It'd be like, just typically, because again, coins, money isn't cheap. So it's like collecting these coins from different places, assigning them the values. And is it something that you think that the game master could be like the banker kind of thing? Or how do you usually work it into games?
It's a kind of a 2-part question of how do I get a collection going, and also how do I use them at the table? How to
get a collection going, how to use them within your whole group, I think is what I was thinking.
I think that dungeon masters and game masters are wonderful, generous souls who have extraordinary generosity of storytelling, and also they're great hosts. They bring people to their homes and gather people around. They're huge props to you if you're a dungeon master. This is one case where the players can help. Yeah. Because if the group says, wow, that sounds cool to play with money, like if everyone kicks in $20, that makes a whole lot more treasury, and it's something the whole group can enjoy together. We've written an article on our website. I think it's campaigncoins.com. It's in the resources section, and there's many different ways you can have coins at the table. One is just props. You just have a few of them, and they're just like, you just fiddle with them. They're kind of cool. People use them as the initiative counter. Like if they're denominated, like highest to lowest initiative, that's kind of cool. So that just kind of fuels the imagination to have them clanking around. And then, of course, it is funny to kill the monsters and get all the money, yes. and to have everyone, collecting their money. That's going to need a body of coins, and you're going to want them to be able to make change with the coins. You can do it just that the dungeon master says, go bang, that's what you find in the chest. The players have the fun of counting it up. But then if you don't have a huge collection, they give those physical props back and write the amount down. So you don't have to have like hundreds of coins to make this work. Or you can.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
You're laying for a solid collection. I think it is very handy. We make our coins denominated. Now, some people don't like to see a gold coin with 100 on it. And of course, it is stupid. There is no centralized bank in Mordor. There are no ATMs in the Shire. So yes, the idea of 100 gold piece coin is stupid, but it helps your real American money go a lot further. Because if every gold piece is a gold piece, then back up the truck. You get a lot of.
I agree with you. I think that that you can take this if you're going to use real coins, and this is what we're going to experiment in our next Dungeon Club as far as that goes. But I would like to be like, if the players do not like, it's the groups, like you said, everybody kicks in a little bit. They buy the treasury, so the group has it. It's part of the game. But they can take them home, and if they forget them at home and they come to this, they lost their money or they misplaced it. They can't find it. And I always would think too, I was doing this as, I was building our world of Halcyon. And when I had all these coins, and we do plenty of coins in Dungeon Crate, I was like, well, why wouldn't there be all sorts of different types of coins for everything from the orcs from Gangul or the lizard folk down there to the to the more like Norse type of people up north in Vargosa? Who knows what they're going to have? And they all get together in this one place called Hammerswald, and where all this trading goes on. So you're going to run into all sorts. So I was trying to tell them that you can just assign them. If it's a 100 gold piece, that means it's special gold. It's actually weighted out. This is the denomination is the trade value of this particular piece of metal. So I love it. It's if you go all in, it's such a great idea to just get because the players usually, the DMs are super generous. The players can kick in. They don't even have to bring the books, and it's a well spent amount of money.
It's just if the group digs it. I mean, even like weirdly enough, $10 each. Like if suddenly the Dungeon Master has $50 rather than 10, like it's pretty neat. And you're quite right that coins come from everywhere. And just like miniatures, just like dice, every coin is compatible with every coin. Mm-hmm. So you can just pull them in from all around, even real world money that looks funky and cool, and mix it all up. I had great fun when we went to Barovia for Curse of Strahd, where I use our Electrum currency, which is the black money, the black metal, the blackest metal.
Oh my God.
And the players hate it because I took away all their perfectly good copper and silver and gold in exchanges for this useless, hideous vampire money.
Yeah.
So
that's real sick of that. I'm getting real sick of it. Haven't gotten out yet.
In that campaign, you need to buy a particular garment for a special occasion. And so it was really fun as they needed 1,000 to buy this. So pulling that money together. And then when they got more and more powerful in the campaign, I bought in Matt Colville's book, Strongholds and Followers, which is a fantastic edition for 5th edition, because it gives you something. You want to build a home base and you need money for that. So that is a book which works really well with a campaign that's based around actual money, because you have this real incentive to get your treasure and invest it in bricks and mortar. In this case, in Barovia, building up the cathedral, shoring up the town walls, and keeping out vampires. So, I dig it. It's a lot of fun.
I'm going to have to get that book because we just, in our earlier campaign that I haven't done for a couple of months, we have a keep and a castle, and we're trying to figure out how does one run this? Because it's like the whole party now has rooms there. They've got a treasury there. How much do you pay for it? How much do you do this? So
get on it. The book is out now. It's going out to backers. And like myself, probably like yourself, Matt was playing AD&D back in the day, and your personal domain was a really important thing in AD&D. And I remember that from our 80s campaign because I was the Dungeon Master, and the magic user's house, had all these rooms, and it was all special. So, of course, I burnt it down because I'm a horrible person. But it is neat. And so Matt's got some great rules for how it buffs your character to have your stronghold, and you have some responsibilities in the region. You have extra powers when you're at home, and a few little extra powers when you're on the adventure. It's a really smart book. And, of course, Followers is the other part of it. So, Strongholds and Followers, strong recommend. And he's going to follow it up with a book about warfare. So he's expanding out these kind of big stories for 5th edition, which is just great.
No, that's awesome. Oh, yeah. I've got one that we're developing that I'll tell you when we're off the air.
Oh, sweet.
Yes, it'll be a nice addition to all of that. So excellent. Yeah. So there's many ways that you can incorporate that, and especially if I was also thinking that some of my coins don't have denominations, and you just kind of assign them, or you're going to have to convince that guy at the bazaar that, hey, hey, how about one of these? Well, I've never seen. What is this? What is this bar here?
Yeah. And in
it's gonna
fact,
have a denomination on it, but if you didn't like,
just for the people at home, that's one of our trade bars. I love the trade bars. Great designs by Lee Smith, Australian artist. He's done all of our classic coins, and they are the guilds of the city. So I think that was the Alchemist Guild you had there, and then there's like Thieves Guild and Fighters Guild. Yeah, that's the Thieves Guild right there. So you've got the thief on the front, and then his coat of arms on the back. And what we do with those is we have them worth 10 times their face value, because it's a trade bar. So that's a way of expanding out to the higher ends.
Oh, right.
And, of course, the other thing you can do with metal things is not just as currency, you can use them as tokens. And I talked about people using them as initiative trackers, like, hey, lowest denomination goes first. And in this month's Dungeon Crate, I believe, people will be getting one of our epic D20 coins. And these are... And here's some of those. That is beautiful, designed by Linda Mills, an Australian artist. She does our 3 Dungeoneers cover art. She's a fantastic artist and also a great player. She plays a Southern Belle Paladin who is going to hell. These are really good to use as initiative tokens, because not initiative. Sorry.
Inspiration, right.
Because if you have a stack of these behind the screen, it reminds the Dungeon Master to give inspiration out. And once it's sitting on your character sheet, it absolutely reminds you to cash it in. I think inspiration is really cool. Who doesn't love a reroll? And it's a mechanic that should be used a lot more. So in my game, I don't say, hey, you did great role playing. Like, everybody's a great role player. Like, let's just put that aside. At the start of the session, I say, what happened last week? And everybody who remembers something different or something extra, they get inspiration for the session. So it's like they start the session with a reroll, but also we start our session by all remembering what happened, and what they remember tells me what's important and
what sticks.
What sticks. Inspiration is a great thing to use as a metal token.
Yeah, maybe I should gift my DM a few of these. As a little underhanded bribe, because Black Francis has done a lot of cool stuff, and it's got a lot of inspiration. It's got a lot of wolf meat and a lot of Barovia coin, but
that is.
So if you want to bribe your DM, that's one really good way to do it.
Oh, that is so cool.
Tell me about the process of making these. Now, there's so many different processes out there. How do they get? You said you mentioned your designer, and you mentioned how they, how it gets.
So all of our coins start with line art, like a straight out good old fashioned drawing. So artists are completely free to express themselves. We have a wonderful compass rose designed by Devon Rue. So we just took the wonderful cartographer, the mistress of maps, ruig.com. So we just took her straight up compass design that she'd sketched freehand. And then at that point, our technical artist gets onto it and does the 3D sculpting, and then they're industrially die-cast. Right. So if you want beautiful coins struck by strong people with hammers, get onto Shire Post Mint, and Rare Elements, beautiful hand-struck coins. Oh yeah, that's not us. We industrially die-cast these things, and so that you can have kind of plenty of them. But of course, then we polish down the mold join and all the hand antiquing and buffing and polishing. So there's a lot of love that goes into them, so they look bright and shiny on your table.
So now you are in Australia. Where are campaign coins? Are they throughout the universe yet?
We are mostly a direct order company. It's because these things are expensive to make. Who would think that fake money would cost so much real money?
So much.
So it is very hard for us to bring them to retail in a way that works for everybody. And that's something that we are still working on. But right now, the best place to find the coins is from campaigncoins.com and also from paizo.com. And then we go to shows. And we also do Kickstarters. And in fact, We are just about to launch a new Kickstarter. Should be live about the time people are hearing this. We are doing new assortments of our classic starter sets just to make it a lot easier to start a collection. So it's going to be like a tavern set for you, like change for the night. Then there's a set of market gold, so little money from 1 to 20. There's a set of dungeon gold from 50 to 1,000. And then there's rare treasure, which is your platinum and electrum. So just really easy bags that are just based around a gold standard, because our full range is like deep copper, deep silver, deep gold, deep platinum. But when you play, it's a little bit easier just to run the copper to 10s, the silver to 10s, and then gold all in the middle. So, Kickstarter we do a lot of Kickstarters because they are so much fun to connect with people and see their enthusiasm and get them out there. It's cool.
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing too. When you're talking about using stuff, I think when you were mentioning, a lot of people gravitate towards gold pieces. This is 1 gold. This is 5 gold. This is whatever. But and a lot of times we do forget that there is platinum, electrum, silver, and copper. So I think it also stretches you as a dungeon master to, when you are pricing these things out, to give them items or make them buy items that are a smaller amount. So they do. Yeah, it is just common that an ale is going to be 3 copper or 10 or 5 copper, or a silver piece.
I love that that's on the new D&D screen. That the price of a hunk of cheese is so cool. I'm crazy about Rob Schwab's game Shadow of the Demon Lord. It is so great. And when you start that game, you're really scraping together silvers in the hope that one day you can afford a sword. And then, of course, as you adventure on, finally you're finding gold pieces, and then you're buying really finely crafted stuff. So I love that, how the money levels up as the campaign levels up.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I wish we would have incorporated.
Some games like, Some games like Warhammer Fantasy, it's more of a silver piece economy. Some people like to play with copper for that kind of more primitive feel. So sometimes the coinage can suit the campaign. So there's so many ways to spin it.
Yeah, and I never thought about the, leveling up like that. I think that's a great way to. I really like that idea. As first through third level, you're really you're really never going to find anything. Gold is rarity as a rarity.
It is. It's pretty exciting when you're saving up for your first set of plate mail. And
I remember when we used to do that, and it was just paper.
Yeah. And once you get beyond that, with 5th edition. Because they've kind of streamlined the game, that you're not buying magic items. So that's why I love to bring these like story reasons for treasure back in. But yeah, it's just fun to have coins on the table, have that cha-chink, treasure. That's why we go into dungeons. They're smelly and dangerous. In fact, our signature characters.
I don't think you ever saw this, but this was my treasury I made.
Oh, superb. That is a rad treasure chest. Oh, my God. Look at that.
Yeah. So I've got gems, acrylic gems, and of course lots of coinage, even large coinage, small coinage, your coinage. I used to not put our coins on the store after our overstock after we had them in the crate. I would hoard them all. And I'm glad I did. I would hoard them all just because I always wanted to have a big treasure chest to open up. And I always imagined it ever since Gen Con. Just go ching, ching, ching. And I did. I had all the coins. I loved them. I never sold them. And then I had an issue, and I couldn't get coins for the crate once. Instead of letting them just not have it in the thing, I took all the coins that I had saved back.
No!
Yep, and I bagged them, and I gave them to everybody instead of having to worry about it, so that they got their coins in a complete box, because I wasn't going to get the other ones on time. So yeah, so now I'm slowly, I really know now, because now I'm slowly collecting my coinage back. And when I feel light, I'm like, hey, we should probably have campaign coins in the crate this time. My treasury is getting a little light.
That is fantastic. There's a little bit of Uncle Scrooge in all of us.
There is, and it's not bad.
One thing we've been doing lately is when Linda Mills redesigned our sort of mascot characters. And people who've been to Gen Con, you would have seen the original designs by Lee Smith. They were great art, but, after 5-6 years, it was time to give them a fresh look. So Linda did the new art for our characters, and I fell in love with them. They've got so much personality. And so I said to Penny, my partner, could you write some stories about these adventures? And because we're campaign queens, though, I want them really good at killing monsters, but just terrible at fiscal management. So every story is about them being flat broke. And every story is always like a classic adventure, like being at the tavern and they've got a problem with rats in the basement, or going into the wilderness. And they're always trying to make the big score. And, of course, spoilers, it never quite works out because they always need coins. Okay. So that's been huge fun. And we just try to write them to be as stupid as your D&D campaign. That's pretty much what these stories are.
Oh, nice.
So people might get a kick out of those. You can download a couple of those for free from campaigncoins.com in our fiction section. And they're on Kindle and what have you as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, yeah, and we'll have to get a link and excuse me. We'll have to get a link and put that on the show page, if you wouldn't mind. So for the free downloads, if you like,
I would love it. We have such a good time writing it. Penny does the first draft, and then my job is to come along and make the jokes stupider. And I take that very seriously.
Yes, so it's not really a red pen that you're using, Fred. You're using like a blue pen.
Yeah, well, more like a clown pen, really.
A clown pen, all the different colors. The rainbow pen. You just stuff down at once.
But all of it just expresses our love of this pastime. You know, that's why Andre, literally, he's the boy from Perth, which is the most remote capital city in the world. So it's clear on the other side of Australia. It is to Melbourne what, New York is to Los Angeles in terms of distance, but there's nothing in the middle. So Andre was in the newspaper in the 1980s defending Dungeons and Dragons during the Satanic Panic.
Yes.
Right? Because, schools were banning it and the church was up in arms, and there's little Andre in the paper saying, it's really good, you use your imagination with your friends. So, we've been on the front line of role-playing forever.
Oh, yeah. I remember in my group in the 80s, too. I was in high school in 83, and we were actually playing at my buddy's house in our group in high school and watching on their console TV televangelist show talking about the dangers of Dungeons and Dragons. And we were all like, yeah, all right. I was like, we got to play right when they're like hating on us. It was great. A little badge of honor, I think. It's kind of funny.
Our friend Melissa Rogerson is a great friend from the local scene, but she was in a girls' school, a private school, and she was running a Dungeons and Dragons club, and a parent complained. So the teacher came along and said, Melissa, we have a problem with the Dungeons and Dragons club. Can you just call it the Games Club? And so the problem was solved. So God bless smart teachers.
Right, exactly. It's a magic in its own right. They're wizards in their own right. So, problem gone. Boom, rename.
Actually, they are wizards, because it was my school librarian in high school who brought a copy of Traveller. And that was the little black box. That was the first role-playing game I ever saw. Because my librarian, there's Hitchhiker's Guide and copies of Dune by Frank Herbert and Avalon Hill board games and Traveller. Yes.
Oh, Gladiator. Oh, my gosh, I had that game.
God bless Miss Jones from the Bendigo High School.
Yes.
For, and like Evan Gilsdorf up in Seattle, teachers bringing D&D into schools. It's a golden age. There's so much good stuff going on.
Yeah, we've got our local D&D school club right up the street, the Benson Bunnys D&D club, and I got to meet some of those guys when we did that. We support their high school as far as their calendar. We take ads in there, and we're going to be giving some stuff to them for their D&D club, and it's really important to me to really support youth in role playing because it was such an important thing for us. When I was a kid in the 80s. And like you said, if you have a teacher that is an influence in your life like that, it lasts. Look how long it's lasted. Look, it just lasts that long. Really, you never know. A buddy of mine had dyslexia so bad he couldn't read, and the only way he was able to read was he had to go special schools and everything. He taught himself how to read by putting his finger on the player's handbook, the advanced D&D player's handbook. He would follow it along, and he ended up knowing more. He ended up knowing more rules than his brother, the dungeon master, and he taught himself how to read because of D&D. So
that is great. I teach writing for games, and like the love for my students for Pokemon, because that taught them to read. And there was another student that learned morality from playing Baldur's Gate on the PC.
Really?
Like, as a 10-year-old, the notion of right and wrong. And so, games are powerful educational kind of moments. I just want to say quickly, I did get the name of that educator wrong. That was Evan Schoonover in Seattle. I mashed a couple of names together.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
With the D&D Girls Club. But it's not, you learn about each other, you experience empathy, you share stories, and also make lifelong friends. I see people I played with in 1979 because we meet to game. So
that's what our parent company is, Lords of Adventure and War Games. That's our company that we do the etching, and that was the name of our D&D group in '83. So so far they're fine with it.
Our original club was the League of Dungeon Questers, Rogues, Ruffians, Fiends, and Thieves.
Oh, you got me beat. Wow, I thought ours was long.
Yeah, the membership badges were huge.
Oh, we had a constitution and everything. I still have them. They're signed. 25 cents a week for dues, man. Or a month, maybe.
Look, this is great. We've started talking about treasure, but the real treasure is the friends we make.
Exactly. There you go. All right. Well, Mark, hey, thank you so much for getting this together. Sorry, we didn't, like I said at the beginning, we didn't realize that we were a day apart. So I'm sitting here. It's Tuesday. I'm like, hey, it's no problem. We'll hit the interview, and you're sitting there. It's Wednesday, going, when is he gonna call?
Yeah. Down here in the Southern Hemisphere in the winter, us and the penguins.
Yep. Oh. Well, but thank you once again. Now, are you guys going to be anywhere? Are you going to be at Gen Con this year? I'm sure, because we are
at Gen Con every year. Our booth is around 434. We're in the Pie Zone neighborhood. So just look for the money, and me and Jackson will be there. Andre will be kicking around Essen and Lucca, Comics and Games in Italy. And I will be at Gamehole in Madison, which I'm very excited about because that seems like a completely rad show that Alex Kramer runs up there. So I'll have the coins there at Halloween time. And I'll also be doing some Call of Cthulhu stuff because of my chaos in writing. So we are out and about. Oh, and of course, PAX Australia. That's in our hometown. That one is a lot easier.
Yeah, right. I imagine. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, wait a minute. You have a lot of travel going on with your job.
Well, Australians are used to it because, it's like I say, we're down here. It's us, New Zealand and Antarctica. So we're just used to having to go somewhere if we have to go. So we don't mind it. Whereas Americans fly to Australia. Oh, my God, I nearly died. I aged 3 years. My beard grew. It's like, get over it.
I know. Well, you are day ahead. I aged 24 hours. Well, thanks again for joining me. We're going to probably see you, or we're definitely going to see you. And by the way, I mean the people in my head. We're at Gen Con this year, and that's only going to be in a few weeks. So we'll be doing some live also from Gen Con, so we'll be able to hook back up. But I'm excited to get you back in the crate, and I hope you can come back on the show again. It'll be great. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Thanks, Wayne.
And there you have it, my interview with Mark Morrison from Campaign Coins. Yes. All right, so we have Campaign Coins going into our July crate, which we are working on right now. And I hope you're a member already because it's going to be an awesome crate. Got some great new vendors going on. So stay tuned for some more from the Dungeon Crate podcast coming up in the coming weeks. We're going to try and get one out every week here. We'll see how that goes. Sorry for the sketchy audio on this one, too. Not sure what's going on with that particular program, but we'll try and clean that up next time. And again, thanks for listening. Take care, and we'll see you next time on the Dungeon Crate podcast.